Hey, everybody. This is Andrew, one of the beat writers from Zone Coverage and one of the hosts of the Daily Wolves Courtside postcast here. I'm here with Matt tonight. Evan is out doing the Lord's work serving alcohol at a bar somewhere. I think that's what his job technically is. But I mean, Wolves come out and they beat Brooklyn. I was wrong. I'll admit it. This was the game I kind of had out of the last four that I thought the Wolves would lose, and they ended up pulling it out. I was at the game, of course, doing media stuff. But Matt, what was the vibe on TV? What was it? How are you feeling during the game?
Dude, it was a well, I guess to start it out, it was a really weird game to start it out. Like in the first quarter, like you were kind of like, is it dead legs? Is it, oh no, we're not locked in? And it was just okay, we're just getting our feet under us. We're tired. We're just getting ready. But the vibe on TV, it was great. Obviously Rudy Gobert, he had his best game in a Wolves uniform offensively, I would say. Grady, Jim Pete had great things to say. You could hear the crowd bumping, screaming, and yelling "Rue." So just from at home, it was great vibes tonight. I haven't had or seen a game vibes wise as good as this one, where we've had Ant play as poor as he had. So I mean, I think it was reassuring. It was nice to see. You're used to seeing all the bashing on social media after the game, but Rue and Julius just continuing to play as well as they have. I feel like that kind of takes the attention off Ant, which is great. Which is great. So yeah, big takeaways from the game. Just keep riding the hot hand. Keep feeding Rudy Gobert, man.
And I mean, Rudy Gobert, not just his best offensive game as a Wolf, that tied a career high 35. And towards the end of the game, the last few minutes he was getting, I mean, it was, dare I say, deafening Rue
Yeah.
chants in the crowd. Nikhil had kind of a driving layup, and there was literally boos at Nikhil Alexander Walker for not getting Rudy the ball. I was personally hoping that they were going to flare him out to the corner and we could have a new career scoring high off of like a Rudy Gobert three, but it never developed. I mean, Rudy, just real quick, I mean, plus 30, plus 16, 35 points, 11 rebounds, 14 free throws. The Nets just had nothing for him. Anytime the game kind of went down to a crawl, it just turned into a pick and roll Rudy Gobert play. I mean, for me, it's particularly like just rewarding because when Rudy Gobert got traded here, no one particularly liked the trade. The first season, it was woof. I mean, I was included in that camp that thought Rudy, maybe he was just too injured. It was the backside of his career. Last year, Defensive Player of the Year. This year started in just a slow, weird start, whether it was USA or not USA, Olympic stuff. He played for France or what have you. But I mean, he has been awesome the last 15 games. I mean, Matt, what's your hope for it going into the playoffs? Is this a sustainable thing to you?
Well, obviously, I think it is sustainable. Yes, it just depends on, does Chris Finch think it's sustainable? Because Rudy Gobert, he has the history. He has the playoff dropper label. He's borderline unplayable in the playoffs label. If you continue to play Rudy like this and feed the ball to him, like obviously you're not going to get a game where like tonight where he touches the ball every type of possession. But if we kind of just backtrack to like what these last 2 to 3 weeks have looked like, just getting Rudy Gobert the ball a healthy amount and kind of trusting him to make the right pass. I think I've personally seen enough down the end of the stretch to be comfortable giving him the ball and letting him make these decisions. So that's just what I hope to see continue in the playoffs. We haven't seen any form of Rudy Gobert like this in Utah over the last 2 years. I feel like I don't want to say like evolving crazy, but it's a different Rudy Gobert on offense. Just having Rue, or I guess I should say, eliminating only block touches for Rudy Gobert. I think that was one of the big things that this offense was missing, and I think that Finch finally does have the trust in him. So that's definitely something that I want to see to continue to ride into the playoffs. What about you? Do you think that's a fair take? Do you think it's sustainable, or am I missing anything here?
I think it's interesting because when Rudy Gobert got traded here, I go back to those introductory press conferences where they were saying, we want Rudy Gobert to be more of an offensive force. We want him to get the ball in the short roll and make passes and do things that he was never trusted to do in Utah. First season was a disaster. I mean, it just objectively was not up to par with how Rudy Gobert has been playing, especially this season. To me, this kind of seems like it was the vision all along. They want Rudy to be able to get 5, 6 post touches where he's on a roll and can kick it to the corner, kick it back out to the wing, feed Julius on like a back cut. I think it is sustainable because I think this is what Chris Finch has wanted to do for 3 years, and it's just finally taking form. I mean, Rudy over his last 15 games, 15 points per game. His defensive rating is 101.2, which is, I mean, that's defensive player of the year level. And now he's adding 15 points on offense. I mean, Drew Timmy tonight, God bless him, but he didn't have a chance against Rudy on a lot of these possessions.
Yeah.
And, obviously we're all looking at the playoffs now, and it's starting to look like Lakers Wolves as the 3-6 matchup might be it. The Lakers have similar problems. They don't have a lot of size. I mean, a lot of times it's no one playing center. Rui Hachimura, LeBron, they just don't have a consistent center they can go to other than Jackson Hayes. And if Rudy is playing like this year's matchup is going to be significantly different than what we saw with Luka and Dallas last year. I guess, again, odds on favorite, that's who we're going to be facing is the Lakers. What's your thoughts if we manage to get in as the 6 and play the Lakers?
So yeah, you've kind of heard it on stream, a little bit off just in the group chat. You know how I feel about us playing the Lakers. That is not the matchup that I want. I still have nightmares about Luka from last year. Playoff LeBron is a different animal. I don't care that he's 40 years old. I'm going to believe playoff LeBron is playoff LeBron until I see otherwise. And then on top of it, you add Austin Reeves, who's been playing arguably as good as LeBron James and on the same level as a Luka Doncic. That's nuts to hear. You don't ever hear a third level playing on the same level as two 1A, 1B kind of guys. So like you said, yeah, I think that this series could come down to the bigs and just doing these little things. If you can contain one of the three guys, I think that really does give us a shot, because since you have Anthony Edwards, obviously, Julius Randle looks to be really comfortable and he's playing his best basketball of the season, I would say, or smartest basketball of the season, I should say. Jaden McDaniels has came along, and now you add Rudy Gobert into that mix too. Man, I like that. But it is still tough. I've been really impressed with LA all season, and I'm not going to come out again and make the same mistake I did last year, because last year I came out and said the Suns were going to beat us in 5. So I'm not going to get ahead into all that playoff stuff just yet. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at, I think it's going to be a good series. I think it's interesting. I could see Minnesota blowing out LA. I could see LA blowing out Minnesota. I could see the series going to 7. I think that this would definitely be one of the better, if not the best, first round matchups in the playoffs.
I completely agree. This could, like, either team could sweep it or it could go 7. I have no idea what Wolves team is going to show up. Honestly, I kind of feel the same with the Lakers. Like, they have 3 top tier talents, but in a series against the Wolves, I mean, Jackson Hayes isn't going to be able to guard Rudy. LeBron probably can match up well against Julius. Luka's traditionally kind of hidden on defense. They don't really have anyone other than Dorian Finney-Smith for Ant. It's like both teams don't match up well against each other. So there might be games where it's 140 to 132. There might be games where it's 98-79. I have no clue. What I will say is, I mean, Ant's ability to come in against Memphis last night and put up the 44 points and then just not make many mistakes in the fourth quarter and kind of go within the flow. I know there was a lot of criticism that he only got 2 shot attempts. He didn't take it over, but they didn't need him to. It was really just Mike Conley, pick and roll, take the easy buckets that were there. And tonight, again, it really seemed like midway through the first when Dante came in, the energy level just rose for this team, and then they didn't need Ant to really do anything. He finished with 11 shots, 30 minutes. It's kind of what you want from Ant in these type of games where you're blowing a team out. I guess speaking of Ant, we should probably address the elephant in the room. He did get a technical, which if it is not rescinded, that'll mean he's suspended for the fan appreciation TikTok, Twitter influencer night. Is that what it's
I
officially
believe
called?
so.
I don't know what it's officially called, but if it's not rescinded, he's out. Which Utah, I sent a tweet out about it. They are officially locked in that top 3 position. They can't fall to 4, so they have their ping pong balls established already. And Utah owns Minnesota's pick. They have every incentive to win. Half of their team's on IR, so it'll still be like Colin Sexton and friends. But first, what do you think about the Anthony Edwards tech? We don't get the same feedback at the game. I will say post game, Chris Finch kind of talked about it a little bit of just he didn't really understand why there was a tech there. It seemed like a pretty quick tech and that Ant didn't say anything egregious. But what did you see on TV?
I mean, yeah, you kind of nailed it on the head right there. Like, excuse me, kind of sick.
Matt
But,
Matt just died.
yeah, but yeah, Chris Finch, like you said, it didn't really seem like much even on TV. Like I was kind of scratching my head, but at the same time, you have a reputation when you're Anthony Edwards. You know,
Yeah.
you talk a lot. Officials see it, fans see it. The whole NBA world kind of knows now what you're about. You've led the league in Texas. If I'm not mistaken, this is year 2. If he wasn't leading last year, I know he was top 3. So it's a temper thing. He's got to get it under control. But it was blatantly a blocking foul. I will say that. I don't understand why you feel the need to complain as much as you did in a game against the Nets in the second quarter when you only had 1 foul. I feel like that's where my frustration comes from. Yeah, sure, you can call it a BS, whatever you want, but it's just like you got to be situationally aware, dude. You've done well over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. You've held your cool for the most part. And the one thing that we couldn't have happen tonight happened. Because like you said, Andrew, Utah has an incentive for winning tomorrow or Sunday. They have an incentive to beat us, and that is getting another lottery pick, I believe, if I read your tweet correctly. So not having Anthony Edwards in that game is meaningful. If we win out, we're the 6th seed. If we don't beat Utah, I believe that we could slip to the play-in. So unfortunately, game 82 against the Utah Jazz is going to be very meaningful for us. It is one of the more, if not the most important game of the year for us. So I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about Ant other than I wish it was different. It is what it is. I hope he grows and learns.
I think that's what it is. Like, he's 23 years old. And if this is the biggest personality blemish he has, it's super frustrating. But 28-year-old Ant hopefully isn't making the same, like, dropping F-bombs at the ref if that's what he did this time. I know he's had an issue with that. And to like his credit, he doesn't clap at them anymore. So that's something. I mean, he learned not to clap. I do think we have an ad read though, Matt, if you want to set that up.
Yes, we absolutely do. If you guys are looking for some sports betting apps in Minnesota, this is the place for you guys. Today's show is also brought to you by Better, the sports betting app brought to you by Jake Paul. Sign up with our code, TheDailySPN, to get a deposit match up to $200, meaning if you deposit $200, Better will match that and give you $200 in free bets. Better is currently available in 34 out of the 50 states in the U.S., including Minnesota. If you see your state in the purple, that means you are eligible to download Better and start winning money today. Me personally, I usually find myself taking Anthony Edwards over on 3-pointers made, which I'm actually taking tonight against the Thunder, along with Jalen Williams to go under 24.5 points plus assists. Again, sign up with the code TheDailySPN, all one word, to receive a $200 deposit match and start winning money today. And there
Look
you
at
go.
that. He's changed back out of his hat back into the hoodie. He's a man of everything.
You already know.
Matt, I do want to ask you about Julius because he is just, we kind of a down game against Memphis. He had the turnover in the fourth quarter, wasn't really making decisions as quickly. I mean, night and day tonight. 21 points plus 21 team high, tied with Dante, coincidentally. But I mean, he was making decisions lightning quick. He was outside of like getting stripped in the fourth quarter and then getting a kicked ball. He was awesome. I mean, what was your thoughts? Again, watching on TV is just different from being in the corner.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And yeah, Julius Randle, I was really impressed with him tonight. Only 30 minutes, 21 points, shot 5 for 6 from 3. Julius Randle's made 10 threes over his last 2 games. So if this is the Julius Randle that we are going to get in the playoffs, we're going to be a problem. We've kind of talked about it briefly. I think that this team's only going to go as far as Julius Randle takes us. So just seeing these performances by Ju over these last 2 games, over these last couple weeks, these last couple months, however you want to put it, we're just seeing a completely different. We're seeing a confident, team-oriented Julius Randle, and I almost feel like too, like he looks more comfortable. He doesn't look like he forces things. He doesn't look like I don't want to say this like negatively, but like early season, I'm playing for a contract, Julius Randle. I don't like to say it like that, but you can tell he's bought in. He wants to win, and it's a different player. If you were to tell me at the beginning of the year that this is the type of player that we were going to have, I'd kind of be like, really? But yeah, I would just love to see Ju continue to find the open threes on the wing, continue to get into the pick and pop. He's lethal at the top of the key. I didn't really notice that, but Jim Pete made a point on the broadcast tonight. Julius Randle is an above average NBA 3-point shooter when he gets the ball at the top of the key. If he gets it at the wings, he's pretty average. Don't let him get the ball in the corner. So if we can find a way and game plan ways to get Julius Randle the ball in the pick and pop at the top, if that doesn't work, a little slip screen, dish down to Rudy, I feel like this team could be dangerous. And I think that Julius Randle is going to finally take the step in the playoffs and I guess kind of get rid of that playoff dropper label that I can't show up for big games. So I think that we're going to continue to see big things from Julius Randle for the remainder of the season.
It's first off, Julius, shout out Dane Moore for doing math, but 40% since he's come back from his injury on threes, 40% 3-point shooter. I mean, that's Cat. It's not the same volume, and like Cat, he kind of picked his threes. I think Julius is a little bit more willing to chuck them when he needs to, but 40% from 3 is awesome, especially when you got Ant also shooting high 30%, Mike shooting over 50 since the New Year's rolled over, Jaden still in the mid 30s above the break. I think he's in closer to 40%, but he's been awesome too. We did just hit like 800 people in the live. So I do want to just say, like, we do on this show, especially the Courtside Postcast, we want fan interaction. If people have questions, if people have comments, things they want to say, like, drop them in the comments. I'm looking at them through the whole show. I'm more than happy to answer things. Matt's also more than happy to answer things. If you have Matt related questions, Matt has a new dog. Matt, what's your dog?
Yeah, good old Roscoe. I don't know where he is. I'd bring him over here, but I don't know where he is.
Matt has a new golden retriever. You now know that about Matt. Just ask questions. We love the fan interaction. That aside, Dante, another just solid Dante game. Plus 21, he only scored 8 points, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists. There's a play in I think it was the fourth quarter, about 10 minutes left, where he was trying to strip the ball and just was like jumping over another human being to try and get at a loose ball. Yeah. Just Dante is just something so different that this team hasn't had. He's just effort, regardless of what the score is. I mean, how impressed have you been with Dante? Like, let's go looking back to the whole season. I mean, earlier in the season, before the season started, kind of got leaked out that Dante was the linchpin in this trade. That was what the Wolves were kind of holding out for. Started the season off pretty mediocre. You could tell he was really trying to just find himself, really trying to just kind of fit into the offense. And I mean, he's been, truly awesome the last 3.5 months now.
Yeah, Dante has been fantastic. I've been a big Dante DiVincenzo guy since he was in Milwaukee, since he got drafted. I'm from Wisconsin, so I've followed Dante fairly close, or close enough his whole career, I should say. And then dating back to last year in the playoffs, I feel like that's when Dante really came onto the scene, scoring multiple 30-point games in the playoffs, coming off the bench in the regular season and dropping 30 and 40. And yeah, he was actually the player that kind of, like, I don't want to say made me feel okay about the trade, but it gave me that much more grace. We got Julius Randle, and we got one of the best role players in the league who is a championship winning player. And then going from that thought and seeing the production and just how clunky it was, Dante's shot wasn't falling. We didn't know how to use him correctly. I feel like it kind of skewed my perspective on what Dante DiVincenzo was as a player. And all it really was, we just had to get him built in, integrated into the team. We had to figure out how to get him in catch and shoots. If he's going to bring the ball up the court, that's cool. We just had to figure out that we just had to get it off of him real quick. He wasn't built. He's not built to run an offense like a Mike Conley or I'd even say a Julius Randle or an Anthony Edwards. That's not Dante DiVincenzo, and that unfortunately took us a fourth of the year to figure out. But since then, he's been fantastic. When he was starting for Mike before he got hurt, I believe he was averaging 17 a game, shooting over 50% from three before he got moved back to the bench. And yeah, now here we are. Like you said, the high energy. He reminds me of Pat Bev in the energy aspect, not like necessarily with how he runs his mouth and everything, but like you see it on the court, and with Pat Bev, you saw it on the court and off the court, right? You just got like that little extra bit with Pat Bev. But something that's really impressed me with Dante too that doesn't really get talked about is just like you hear about the stuff like, yeah, somebody gets yammed on. You'll never see somebody inbound the ball faster and get the ball up the court. You would think Dante DiVincenzo got dunked on every single time that the ball goes through the rim. He gets the ball and he is up the court like that. And I love that Dante brings that. He brings that second gear, and that's something that we needed last year. That was one of the things that was a knack on us in the playoffs. We didn't have that secondary ball handler. We didn't have that person that could get up and down. We weren't a good transition team. And I feel like that's an element that Dante brings to our team. So he's been fantastic. And I know I'm kind of rambling right now, but my last point, he does all those little things. On a night that he doesn't shoot well, he's going to go out. He's going to go get you 6-7 rebounds, and he's also going to get you 5-6 assists. He can play defense. Dante is a really, really smart player. He's one of those Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades type of players. And I've said it. I know I sound like a broken record because I say it at least once an episode. Dante DiVincenzo is a championship winning role player. And that's kind of where I'm at on Dante.
I mean, completely agree. I think because he played in the Eastern Conference, other than the half season he was with the Warriors and Kings, I don't watch a lot of Eastern Conference basketball. Yeah. Like it's just we play those teams twice a year. It doesn't behoove me to grind like Bucks tape, but his effort. I mean, he rebounds. He crashes from the corner to try and get offensive rebounds. He tries to poke loose balls away. He tries to pickpocket people from behind. He bodies people. And then if he gets like, his foot stepped on or he gets like a hard screen, I mean, he steps into that and is all fire and attitude afterwards. Ren here in the chat just asked if we have already covered the Ant suspension. We did. If the suspension holds up for Sunday, he is out. That's rules are the rules. Finch talked about it post game. It sounds like, he didn't really understand what the tech was for. He didn't really think there was anything egregious that Ant did that one. I mean, I'll say from, sitting in the arena, Ant was getting on the officials pretty early and often. There's like a fast break opportunity he had where he went to the ground and mean mugged the ref and was saying stuff all the way back. So it could have been just a boiled over thing, but I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, Utah's going to have a lot of incentive to play that game hard. Their lottery chances are locked up. They own Minnesota's pick. So if they can spoil Minnesota's pick and kick him into the play-in, there's an opportunity they get a lottery pick out of it. That being said, Utah's half of their roster is on IR. So it'll be Colin Sexton and that's about it. Matt, crazy thing though. I hear we have an ad read from Ethan coming in, hot and heavy.
What's up, Minnesota fans? Many of you know that I help fans get tickets into games, and now I'm giving you an opportunity to get tickets to any sporting event you want, not just basketball. We're talking football. We're talking hockey. We're talking soccer, man. Any sporting event that's in town, or maybe it's a concert. All you have to do is use my promo code, The Daily Wolves, all caps, on SeatGeek. That's right. I've partnered with the SeatGeek app. You can download it on iOS or Android devices. You can find it on your web browser at SeatGeek.com. Check it out today. Enter my promo code, The Daily Wolves, and get $20 off your first order.
Shout out SeatGeek. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's episode. And real quick, while we were on the topic of the Jazz and everything, it's a big game. We kind of covered it earlier. Obviously, no Ant. I don't think I kind of got your breakdown for anything, but yeah, Super, super big, most important game of the year on Sunday. It's going to depend whether we get into the play-in or not, probably. What are you expecting from the Wolves in that game? We have no Anthony Edwards. Julius Randle's been on a tear. Rudy Gobert's been on a tear. What are we expecting Sunday?
I mean, I'd expect them to show. Well, it's a 2:30 start. The season is on the line. I was really encouraged that they showed up really strong today and just put the game away. The Nets were in a similar situation. They could not fall to the 7th odds and they could not rise to the 5th lottery odds. So they had every incentive to play hard. They played. I mean, they played the guys they could. Jalen Wilson played 35 minutes. Drew Timme played 39. Warford played 32. They're not starting caliber players, but those are like capable NBA players. So the Wolves handled business. I would kind of expect the same on Sunday. I think this team understands what's at stake. I'll also say that like all of these guys are human beings. They probably really want a week off at this stage in the season where they can get treatment, rest, get practices in, sleep in their own bed before that playoff grind starts. So I think they're going to be motivated. I think the Wolves will win. Just that's my gut feeling. And it's crazy because if they do win and a certain couple games end the way we need them to tonight, we could be talking about the Wolves still being the 4 or the 5 seed. I mean, there's an outside shot that this team has a home court playoff series, and we'll find it all out Sunday afternoon. But Matt, I do want to close here quickly, but I wanted to ask you first, you know, if this is a 49 win Wolves team and they end up being the 4 or 5 seed, would you consider this season like a disappointment? Or what are your thoughts on it? Because 49 wins is right around where Vegas had it after the Cat trade. After everything that's happened this season, they are probably going to finish exactly where they should have. And I mean, it'll go down as one of the top 5 most winningest seasons in Wolves history. Ant broke the scoring record. Just what do you think that's what's going to be your outlook on this season?
So that's funny because my girlfriend and I were kind of having a discussion about this like during the game tonight. And this season has been so weird, man. Like there have been the highest of highs, but like 2 days later, the lowest of lows. And like, sure, whatever. That's kind of what you get for being a Minnesota sports fan. But like you said, it feels like Ant's taking his game to another level. He's scoring the ball with ease, the 3-point shot. It looks like Ant's finally put everything together that he needs to do skills-wise and talent-wise on the basketball court. But then you have the early season stuff, the fighting between Rudy and Julius and all the trades and the clunkiness, and then the injuries happen. But all in all, for like where this team should be right now in such a competitive Western Conference with blowing back-to-backs to a bad Portland team, losing to a hurt Washington Wizards team, losing to Utah, blowing 2 games to Milwaukee. I would say 2 games that you should have won against Memphis as well. Like this team very well could have been a 60-win team this year. So like you said, we're right at where Vegas had us. I can only draw this season back to a success. I know that's kind of hard to like fathom for some of you guys, but on all the setbacks we had, all the clunkiness we had, all the new faces, all the criticism, and we still come out and we're going to be in the playoffs. And if we can get home court somehow, I don't see how you don't track this back to a successful season. What do you think?
I think it's a success. I've kind of been bullish on it the last week or so of just where my expectations are on the team, like long term. And to me, we don't really fully open our championship window until Ant's 25, 26, 27 years old. Yeah. I don't think this year and next year are the years that the Wolves are going to win a championship. So if Ant is still showing improvement, if Ant is still like growing in his role, showing improvement year to year, and they're getting into the playoffs where he can get that experience, it's a success for me. I think if they would have fallen to like the 9 or 10 seed and they didn't make the playoffs, then it's objectively a failure. There's a couple of questions here in the chat that I want to get to real quick. Midway, if the Knicks offered Towns back for Julius and Dante, would you? No. Cat handcuffs this team financially. I mean, he makes $50+ million for the next 3 seasons. The reason that I was very high on that trade is you're breaking up. Like, think of it as if you're trading stocks or you're trading basketball cards or anything like that. If you have a $50 card and you can turn it into a $35 card and a $15 card, it's easier to move those second cards because it's always harder to sell something that's more expensive. Less people have $50 that they can shell out for something. More people have $35 or $15. So it's splitting a large asset that's going to be hard to move into smaller pieces. And I think team building wise with the second apron stuff, it just makes more sense to have more assets that you can move around. Ren asked if the T-Wolves have a better division record. So tiebreakers are weird. I still don't understand most of them. Nolan O'Hara is sitting next to me and has been telling me how tiebreakers work all game, honestly. Go follow him on Twitter, Nolan O'Hara. Anyways, essentially the Golden State Warriors and Clippers play on Sunday. One of them will lose. That's one spot we can move up if we win on Sunday. And then we own a lot of the 3-team, 4-team tiebreakers. So if the Wolves win, they are the 6th seed. Depending on if Golden State or the Clippers lose, depending on Denver, depending on, I think LA plays Houston, the Lakers play Houston, depending on what happens on Sunday, they can move up to the 4 seed if they get help. But no matter what, Wolves win, they're the 6th seed, which again, you're looking at a 49-win 6th seed with a guy that broke the Timberwolves scoring record and everything clicking. I'd have to say it's a successful season. It just by my standards. Now, if it's 27-28 and they're a 49-win 6th seed, then it's a failure because 3 years from now, we should be talking about championships every year. I mean, Ant's just that type of player. But I think that's all I had, Matt. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out? There, again, we're nearing 1,000 people in the live, which is awesome. We always appreciate the sports. Or support and sports. The support for sports really is what we appreciate.
Yeah, right. There we go. But yeah, I don't think I really have anything else to cover other than Sunday. I don't think we are going to be live. I know me and Evan are going to be at the game. I assume you're going to be at the game too. We'll probably take off. So no live. We'll get a podcast recorded for you guys Sunday, and we'll get that put out Sunday night, Monday morning, Tuesday, something like that. Something before the playoffs. And then we will still be recording content for you guys during play-in week throughout the playoffs. We're going to try to bring guests on, whoever our matchup is, beat writers. If there's anybody that you guys want to see, let us know in the comments. Go to the Daily Wolves, go throw something down in our comments. We'll try to make something happen for you guys. But yeah, kind of, I guess, yeah, with that being said, like you said, that is about it. And we will catch you guys in the next one. And as always, guys, go Wolves.
Go Wolves.